guys, CNWolf here today with a DTA entry. I hosted my own Draw to Adopt contest recently with my original species, Corellians, and I'll be honest, it got me in the DTA spirit. So I was extremely excited to see my friend Emmikoo turn around and put up her own DTA. Even better, this DTA features her original species, Rapterians. Obviously I had to join. I decided to go for the fourth design in the contest, the Spirit Rapterian. So, without further ado, let me introduce you all to Siarl. Siarl is a young Rapterian living in a city just outside of Sakura. He never had strong ties to the mystical land that he was born in, either through his family, which was practically non-existent, or other means, so the decision to venture out into the city was an easy one for him. However, the world outside of Sakura is generally hostile to Rapterians. Siarl discovered this for himself very quickly, and struggled to make his way in the city for the first few months that he lived there. It was by chance, and just his luck, that he accidentally stumbled across a confrontation between two rival gangs one night, and found himself trapped in the middle. The confrontation screeched to a halt once everyone realized what Siarl was. Rapterians are generally known as powerful creatures after all, and both sides were scrambling to figure out who had managed to recruit one of them. One of the gang members saw it quickly and jumped forward, claiming that he was on their side. Without any other way out, Siarl rolled with it, and the other gang backed off. Once they were gone and the tension had diffused a bit, the gang member that jumped forward turned to Siarl and introduced herself as Marcia. She offered him a place to stay, and, since he had been struggling enough on his own, Siarl accepted. A few months later, Siarl had become an official member of the gang, a group known as the Shadow Stalkers. Siarl acts as a sort of sentry for the gang, showing up at all the meetings simply to intimidate other gangs with the fact that he is a Rapterian. Siarl's cunning side begins to sharpen as he spends more time with the gang, and he grows very close to the members. For the first time, he feels like he has actually begun to find a family, and begins to think that he truly belongs. However, a few of the other members are somewhat unimpressed with Siarl. A few of them have abilities, and they don't find Siarl's enhanced hearing, sharp claws, and general Rapterian physiology to be as impressive as advertised. Because of this, Siarl begins to toy around with the idea of giving himself more powers, specifically time manipulation. He wants to be able to pause and speed up time, or manipulate it in other ways if possible. And it does work. Eventually. One day, Siarl woke up in a place that he didn't even recognize. He was halfway across the city in some abandoned warehouse, and something in his head was screaming that there was supposed to be something there. And it took Siarl a moment to realize that the voice in his mind wasn't his own. At least, not entirely. As it turns out, Siarl does figure out time travel far beyond the extents he ever expected. Or at least, he will figure out time travel in 25 years. In 25 years, his future self figures out how to time travel entirely and is sent back to the past, to when he was 17, the present time. However, the universe can't have two of the same person in it at once, so when he appears, the universe shoved the two of them together, which means that Siarl, to present day, is suddenly sharing his body with his future self. It's bad enough to suddenly be struck with some sort of strange dissociative identity disorder that really shouldn't be possible, but worst of all, Siarl begins to realize that his future self is not at all who he wanted to be. His future self, who goes by the name Sentry, became the leader of the gang that he and Marcia are currently in, and then continued on to become one of the most feared and successful villains in their city. Siarl never wanted to be a villain, especially not one with that kind of power. Now, whether he likes it or not, he is a villain. At least half of his mind is. Sentry is determined to use this leap into the past to his fullest advantage, and Siarl is left fighting for what little control he has. Plus, there's the trouble of Marcia, who apparently does something in the future to Sentry. The whole thing is a mess, and Siarl has two options: to give in to what could be an inevitable future, or to try and fight for a better end against both time and himself. Yeah, I already love this character. As you can see, I've done a few digital pieces as well as a handful of doodles, but I'm already extremely attached. I have at least one animatic coming with him, as well as a written version of the backstory I just described in his bio, which is linked in the description. I've also written at least one short scene with this character, which you can also find in the description below. I'm hoping to make a few more entries before the due date on December 10th, but we'll see how much I can get done. Also, if you haven't checked out this DTA already, there is still time. I'll have it linked in the description below, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. I'm pretty attached to Siarl, but I would love to see more competition for this design. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this, and remember to stay creative.